welcome back to Between Two Screens. I'm super pumped to have Brad Nichols from Geolo Capital, principal over there, and runs their construction and development. Brad, I'm glad we were able to finally connect after you've been off the grid a bit. Where were you? Can you share a bit about your past couple of weeks?
Yeah. Hey, Ari. Nice to see you. Last couple of weeks, we went lockdown in San Francisco mid-March. So just needed a bit of a change of scenery after sharing a home office with my wife, who's been extremely patient and amazing, but for 100 days on opposite ends of the house was needed to shake it up a little bit. So we went up to Oregon and just kind of spent a couple of weeks car camping a little bit, trying to get off the grid.
Is going for car camping for an extended period of time something that you could have done or would have done a year ago, or is that something that you're only able to do now because of, I guess, the flexibility of COVID times?
We love Oregon. We love Northern California. So it's something that we have and normally do anyway. I like trail running. I like mountain biking. That's sort of how I decompress a little bit when I'm not riding motorcycles. And it's something we would have done regardless. What was interesting this time is you definitely notice that the demand was higher. Every place we went, which, was historically remote, they're just a lot busier. I feel like more and more people have that itch to get out and do something, particularly right now. Campgrounds or some of the national parks, which is, I think globally a good thing for thinking about hospitality. It's obvious that people want to get back into it. They want to travel. They want to do those things that sort of make our industry so fun. Right now, they just have this limitation. It'll be interesting to see how things shake up over the next couple of years because of that dynamic.
Yeah, and I guess in your crystal ball, what do you expect the next 6 months and 18 months will look like?
Yeah, so we, like a lot of people, we're looking at things by market and by asset class. The drive to resort, we're already seeing those coming back faster than any of the other, hospitality types. We own 7 hotels, so they're kind of all over the spectrum. The downtown urban, whether it's, big group, corporate, convention, or even boutique lifestyle, they're just going to have a bit of a slower path to recovery. Corporate group booking and large group booking is still kind of on pause for the moment, and that's affecting a lot of the stuff in these urban cores. The select service stuff that's on the periphery of cities or in between places that people want to go, those are rebounding pretty rapidly. So, we think it's probably a 3 or 4 year path to where the entire industry gets back to sort of where it was in 2019. Mm-hmm. But it'll be a shorter path for those types of places that can accommodate the drive to vacation.
Got you. And as far as your role, I mean, the past few months, I'm sure you pretty much were grounded, right? Normally you're at construction sites, you probably spend a lot of time on a plane. Have you been able to keep up with your role? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's been weird, right? So this is the first time in about a decade that I haven't flown for 3 months. But, we had a pretty deep pipeline of prospective development projects. We flipped the switch off and immediately started reevaluating what we were going to do in the near term, and then how we look at the investment business in the long term. And I would say that's pretty common, speaking with, our peers and our investment partners and other people who have jobs similar to mine. If you had a shovel in the ground, you had a construction loan, things are moving forward. That's our case down in Austin right now, where we're co-developing with Magellan out of Chicago, a rather large mixed-use facility that's got 2 hotels and 330 apartments and some ground floor retail. But a lot of the stuff which would have been new prospective hotel developments, we're just sort of reevaluating those to see whether or not they want to be built at a later point in time, whether or not they want to be built as something else, or whether or not we just need to sort of press pause and wait for the economics of those deals to sort of settle down, because everything that existed a certain way in February this year is just different today. And everyone's reading crystal balls to see what it's going to look like over the next 4, 5, 6 months, and then 2021 will just be a really interesting landscape, I think, for everybody as people start coming back. and the underlying economics of hospitality in general just start to settle back down at a different spot.
Gotcha. I want to hear a little bit more and get to know you a little bit better. When you came to Geolo, you had a ton of experience in the industry. You don't strike me as a sort of corporate suit. You got your sleeves of ink. I don't think you're drinking scotch right now. I'm going to guess that's coffee. You're riding motorcycles. How did you get to the industry? I guess tell us a little bit more about where you're from and where you grew up and how you became who you are.
Yeah, I think it was just luck. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Southwest Ohio, actually. Went to engineering school. And that led me into manufacturing and sort of like traditional engineering work, which just ended up not being a great fit for me. I wanted to be in cities. I wanted to be doing stuff that was a little bit more dynamic. So I went to grad school and I moved to Chicago and ended up getting a gig at a very large commercial real estate company, Jones Lang LaSalle, and started off as an analyst and sort of, put myself through grad school, realized that sitting behind a desk wasn't necessarily a good fit. But the combination of working in an engineering capacity for a company that made commercial roofing systems, and then sitting on the analyst desk of a company that was, helping people finance and build and do real property, highest and best use analysis, put me in touch with a lot of people who were doing interesting things. So I just started looking for every opportunity to get on site, to work with people who were doing development and who were changing things, and never passed on an opportunity that would take me someplace where I could learn something. And, spent the last decade and a half or so just doing that. Lived and worked in Hawaii, New York, West Coast, Midwest. And over the course of that time, was able to be involved in some high-rise Class A office stuff, some low-rise, suburban retail stuff, and was able to work on my first hotel deal as an owner's representative about 15 years ago in suburban Chicago, and realized immediately that hospitality was just more fun. The people you get to meet, the way that you can sort of infuse personality in construction and design and development, and just the way that hotels and restaurants have to be thought about, was just more interesting. And that just sort of set me on a path to hotel work, and I haven't really looked back since then.
So take me back to Hawaii. What was it like living out there? Were you surfing? Were you exploring, hiking?
It was great. I love Hawaii, and living on the West Coast for the last several years, we still go back and see friends and do all that stuff. But yeah, it was an experience. I went there on a vacation for the first time, said, this is a place I could maybe live, and then had the opportunity to do it. It was interesting at the time. I was working for a very large development company, Lendlease, who's Australia based, and was building a lot of military housing and everything that comes with military housing development, so like community centers and water parks and civil infrastructure. So it was a great opportunity to learn a tremendous amount. But yeah, with free time, it's hard to go wrong, right? I mean, the hiking and the mountain biking and the beaches, and it was a really, really fun time.
I was just reading, Google made that announcement this week about employees not coming back till July 2021. Siemens, other companies have made announcements. I think, who was it? Zillow, or one of the real estate companies. Do you see a major shift towards the suburbs or outside of the cities, either in San Francisco or other major cities that you're, doing analysis on?
It's an interesting question. We're giving it a lot of thought. I don't think anybody knows. I definitely think there's a lot of pressure right now for people, or on urban real estate in general. So I think a lot of people have, and you've probably seen it with your friends. I've seen it with my friends and family. People that have been able to temporarily relocate out of cities. A lot of them have. Some people have chosen to dig in and hunker in. I'm still here in the city, and haven't really considered leaving. But I do think that the work from home or the work remote trend is probably here to stay in a bigger way than it was, a year ago. Especially as a lot of these larger companies sort of come to realize that they can take their fixed costs and their overhead, which is real estate, 50, you're a gigantic insurance company, for instance, right? 30% of your cost is your office. So if you can maintain global productivity at the same level, but hack into that 30% cost number, they're going to take advantage of it. And I think if and when that happens at a large scale, then you're going to see people sort of reevaluating where they choose to live and where they choose to set up. My best friend works for Google, and he wasn't surprised by that announcement, but he's not going to leave San Francisco as a result of it. But I think it makes the exurbs, I guess, a little bit more interesting, right? You're always going to have the city, you're going to have the immediate suburbs, and then you're going to have the exurbs in these more rural places. And I think that flexibility gives people a unique opportunity to match where they live and how they live with their personalities.
Before we let you go, I'm curious if there's anything in your immediate area or that you can share with us that's a source of inspiration or meaning.
I think it's all that music behind me is the thing that I use to clear the head. That and I have a marina style house, so the mountain bikes that are in the garage underneath of me, those are the two things that I use to sort of ground the headspace at the end of a long week. So that section right there is mostly Black Angels and Black Sabbath. So that's the one that gets thrown on a Friday evening after the work week racks up, and then we try and get out early on the bike on Saturdays, and that's been a nice routine for a long time.
Right on. Well, you're a couple hours away, so I'll let you get back to work. Thanks so much for joining me. It's really nice to see you. Glad to know that you took some time off and that you're doing well, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Ari. Nice to talk to you again, man.